Kellyanne Cicalese. Good morning, Kellyanne.
Good morning. Yes, now that we're crossing into the 10 o'clock hour, we're seeing many spots now crossing into the 60s. So things are warming up slowly, but it's definitely more of a taste of fall out there still. And the wind is picking up. So we're seeing wind speeds right now between 10 to even 17 miles per hour. So it's starting to get a little gusty out there. That's something you'll feel all afternoon. And with high temperatures staying a little bit cooler today, it's something you will notice for sure. Let's take you into a look at our highs today. You'll see many spots from Worcester northwest top out in the low to mid 60s this afternoon. So we're talking about nearly 10 degrees below average in these locations. In and around Boston, 70 degrees. We'll see some low 70s through much of southeastern Massachusetts. Skies are nice and clear and quiet for now, but there's a little disturbance that could trigger some showers tomorrow evening. The timeline for that ahead. Jennifer, that's not so much the case this year, but we are watching a couple of disturbances. What we're watching for today, not quite to the extent of what we saw yesterday, but there's still a risk of rip currents. And I mention this because our water temperatures as we travel through September, they're very mild. And so you may be tempted to try to get into the water today, especially with the kind of weather that we have. So with wave heights here, not quite as high as yesterday. We're talking about wave heights yesterday up to 11 feet for the Outer Cape. Today, they're likely going to stay in the 3 to 5 foot range, perhaps a little higher heading down toward the islands. But the bigger concern here, rather than the wave heights, is that risk of rip currents that continues. Yesterday it was very high. Today it's considered moderate. The high surf advisory for most of Massachusetts beaches has been let to expire. It expired yesterday evening, but there's still an advisory as you move through southern New Hampshire and up through a good chunk of Maine. So if you're heading toward beaches in this area, that is something you'll want to consider. Blue skies and bright out there in Worcester and Boston right now. We are sitting in the upper 50s to low 60s with just a few clouds painting our sky moving in from the west. It's a mostly sunny outlook today, so you'll want the sunglasses on standby here for most of the day. Umbrella not needed. We're in for a very dry outlook. Temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s right now, but with dew point temperatures in the 40s, it still has that fall feel out there this morning, even as we're traveling through late morning, with a wind that's a little breezy at times. Right now we're seeing a wind speed up to about 17 miles per hour in Bedford, and it's a wind out of the west. That's transporting in that really low humidity air, very dry conditions, and it will feel cool at times as you're heading out and about today, especially for areas northwest of Boston. This is the timeline for wind, and I just wanted to point out how it does peak in the mid to late afternoon, and then it'll die down some with sunset tonight. I do think the wind will still stir though, and you'll notice it as we head into tomorrow. Sunshine prevails here with our 12-hour forecast, a high near 70 for Boston, but if you're in areas like Worcester and northwest, get ready. We could see some 60s in these spots. Keene, New Hampshire, up into the low 60s. That's where we'll stay for most of today. As we move down towards southeastern Massachusetts, that's where we should see more in the way of low 70s and just about 70 degrees heading down toward the Cape and Islands. Clear and cool for tonight. Could see a few spot showers tomorrow. Most of your Monday is looking really dry and bright here, but you'll notice a few clouds moving in from the west around sunset. And then between 9 to 11, that's the time frame where we see a slightly higher likelihood for showers. These are looking light and quick, so we're not talking about much. We'll see less than half an inch of rainfall out of these. We're nice and